All right, so we have seen, right, how to define the data, and then you might have noticed that I talked about histograms, and histograms are something which we've seen, like for ages, right? So we always talk about histogram. There is something which you've always heard about, which is something called as bar graph. And most of the time people get confused, right? What is bar graph and what is histogram? And they often get the most, they are in most confusing state when we talk about like the bar graph and histogram. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, first thing first, the histogram right over here. So I'll just write histogram over here, histogram over here, and then I'll talk about bar graph, and I'll do the parallel comparison of histogram and bar graph both, right? So first thing first, how do you like create a histogram sort of stuff? So you create histogram something like this. You have one value over here, other value over here, right? Other value over here, right? For example, let's pick up one example and then I'll create the histogram. So for example, I'd say I'll just delete this. I'll just delete this whole thing, and I say there are some families, right? And we have number of family members in their group, right? So there are say 10 families where we have only 3 family members in the group. There are say only 6 families are there where we have only 2 family members. There are say some 29, or you can say 25 families are there, we have 4 family members, and there are only 3 families where we have 5 family members. Now how would you define this data, right? So what you want to do is you wanted to create a graph something like this, and then you would say over here, so you will say 1, this is 0, this is 1, you have 2, you have 3, you have 4, you have 5, right? So how many families were there? So you'll say like say 5, you have 10, 15, 20, 25 and 30 over here, right? So we'll say how many families have like how many, like, so if you have how many families we have like 5, only 1 family member. So I'll say 0 families have got 1 family members. How many families has got 2 family members? 2. So we'll say how many families? 6. So I'll just create somewhere here, right? This will be graph something like this, right? How many families has got 2 family 2 family members? 6. There will be a number somewhere here, right? 6 will be here, like this is 5, this is 10, there will be some number, right? How many families we have where we have 3 family members? So we'll say 10. So number is somewhere here, this will go somewhere here, and I'll draw something like this. And then we have how many family members? We have like 4 family members for 25 families. So we'll go over here, this will go till 25, so you can compare over here 25, I will go something like this, and then this is 3, so somewhere here. So this is my graph, right? This is more of a histogram, right? A couple of things which I want you to notice over here, right? At this axis and at this axis we have all quantitative data. So I will write, I will say quantitative data, right? Both sides we have quantitative data, and I cannot, even if I reverse the same thing, probably it might not make sense, right? I need to focus on certain things, whether I'm focusing on family members or I'm focusing on families, right? How many families has got this and how many families has got 2 family members? I can reverse the order as well, right? So this is, most of the time this is vertical graph. Most of the time this is a vertical graph to showcase, right? And let's talk about the bar chart, right? Now here in this histogram, right, before we move to bar charts, in this histogram we often take care of symmetry and skewness. So whether we have skewness or not, right? So this similarly, like if you talk to me, probably if you say like whether we have a skewness or not, so we will go something like this, something like this, right? This is our graph. So we have a skewness in the graph, right? You can see that there is a skewness in the graph where we are comparing we are comparing it with the, like, connecting it with the smooth line or something like that. So in histogram we always talk about like numbers, right? Quantitative data, right? And there is generally no space between the columns. So this column has got no space in between this column, right? So 2 is finished, and then 3 started, 3 finished, 4 started, 4 finished, 5 started, and they are always vertical, right? There are a couple of properties of histogram you need to remember. Okay, now we want to talk about the bar graph. Okay, bar graph, right? So I'll just like to write over here bar graph. And what we want to do in bar graph, we wanted to talk about something called as qualitative data. Qualitative data, right? So how would this qualitative data, right, works? So for example, I wanted to ask this, like, how many people, like people who go to say a restaurant, right? People who go to restaurant, how many people orders pizza? How many people order burger? How many people ordered some salads, and how many people ordered a non-vegetarian food, and so on and so forth? So I'll say, like, out of 1,000 people who go to pizza, I'm just picking up some numbers, right? You can just pick up some number over here without thinking of something like that. I can just simply say pizza, like there are like 300 people who actually 306 people who've gone for pizza, 296 people have gone for burger, and for salad there were 562 people like diet conscious nowadays. The people, like 562 people have gone to like eat salads, and for non-veg there were like 2020 people have gone for non-vegetarian diet. Now how would you describe the same information? So you will just create a graph over here, like something like this, and then you have, like, say you pick up 500, then you have 1,000, then you have 1,500, then you have 2,000, and then 2,500 and 3,000, right? And here you will write, here you will say pizza, right? How many people went for pizza? How many people went for burger? How many people went for salads? And how many people went for non-veg diet? And then you will create the bars, basically. Now these bars can be of different sizes, it depends upon you. They can be a very short bars as well, doesn't matter, right? You just simply can type in over here. So you can have, like, so pizza, like 306 people, so you've got a small bar over here. Then for burger there are like a little higher than this, and then for salads there were like too many people, and for non-veg you can actually simply say like this, right? This is how it looks like. So you have bars over here, and notice that these are not touching, right? These bars are not touching, right, over here. So they are not at all touching to each other. So there is, it doesn't happen in, this is qualitative data. Okay, qualitative data. And what this qualitative data means, like, pizza doesn't end, like when pizza ends the burger starts. Nothing like that, right? You can have burger over here and pizza over here, and you can do multiple things, right, with that. So the point which I'm trying to make over here is that this is bar chart, where we have qualitative data, right, on this side. You can also represent the same information something like this. You can have numbers at this end, and you can have some bars like this as well. You can represent your data something like this, and they are not touching each other, right? They are not at all touching each other. They are not touching, right? So you can have burger, then you have pizza, then you have salads, and then you have non-vegetarian diet, like something like this. You can define that value as well, right? This can be vertical, and this can this graph bar chart can be horizontal as well. Now if you just think over here, why it can be vertical and horizontal, because it doesn't matter whether you pick up pizza first or burger first, right? So it doesn't depend, right? It category remains the same, and this for the same reason we do not apply skewness over here. So here, like if you do the partition of these two graphs, you can use skewness, right? You can have center, you can have shape of the data, you can have variability in the data, and you can have all those features over here. But in bar graph we do not have this kind of qualities. They can just be like that, right? You can have anything anywhere, right? So you can have anything anywhere in this bar chart, and you should not be applying this skewness or center or shape or variability. They are just there to compare the qualitative data. So you're comparing pizza with burger and burger with salad, so salad with pizza or salad with non-veg. You're just comparing all those things, right? For example, if you're doing the sales, you're comparing north, east, west, south. It doesn't mean that you should apply skewness or center or shape or variability over there, but you're just comparing the 2 or the 4 or different zones or the regions. So bar graphs and histogram, they look quite similar, but they have like the different category altogether. So I hope it is making sense to you. I'll see you in the next video. We'll talk more on graphs. I have a lot more things to share. Stay tuned with me, and we want to learn something very exciting coming up. I'll see you next.